Coming to you from the heart of the Great White North. Welcome to the Canadian Prepper Podcast. Immerse yourself in the world of preparedness with insights from seasoned experts and a touch of Canadian practicality. Your go-to source for all things survival, resilience, and self-reliance. Now, let's kick off another episode packed with knowledge and strategies to ensure you're ready for whatever life may throw your way. Stay tuned and let the journey to preparedness begin.
Welcome to episode number 232 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We are recording on March the 3rd, 2024. My name's Eric, host of the show based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, and computer geek. As a first responder, witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events and started a small preparedness company to help people get better prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
And I'm Jeff. I'm based in Central Ontario. I'm a target shooter, ham radio operator, general overall handyman, and weather nerd.
And I'm Brad. I'm in Eastern Ontario, part-time amateur prepper, constantly trying to better myself.
My name's Pierre. I'm a tactical beard owner, t-shirt doer kind of guy, government critique, and the reason we hit the explicit button.
I'm Terry, live in sunny Southern Ontario, starving indie author, terrible hunter, pathetic fisherman, and proud Ford owner. Got to get that in there.
Yeah. So let's get the truth out there as it stands. I got a Toyota and I had to call for help yesterday, so I'm the GOAT tonight.
You're welcome, Jeff. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Oh boy, so we've got some stormy content for you in this episode. We'll start off with some relevant news articles. We'll update you on our personal preps, then we'll get into the main topic, and we're talking about the little snowstorm that came through Ontario here this past week. Let's move into the news.
So I've got a couple of them. One of them sort of around the same issue that we had. The West Coast is getting another atmospheric river, whole dump of whatever. So the Sierra Nevada mountains are getting pummeled with snow in a blizzard. There are areas up there that have gotten between 7 and 10 feet since Thursday. And they're obviously snowed in. They can't go anywhere. So good thing some of them have stuff to rely on, hopefully. Some of them have obviously lost power, and they're not going to get it back till they can get in there and start digging. And then on the total flip side to that, for those who haven't heard, Texas is burning. I've got a link in there. I know it's CNN, but hey, cut me some slack today. They've had the Smokehouse Creek fire it's been going on for a little bit. It's burned. Shouldn't say it's going on. It's still happening. It's the largest fire that Texas has ever had. It has burned over. Is it 1,000? I believe it's 10,000 acres. They're estimating around potentially 500 structures. So barns, houses, garages, you name it. And yeah, I think it's 10,000 acres because they figure they've lost about 1,000 head of cattle as well. So it's going to be interesting.
Some well done beef.
See what comes out of it. And I'll speak a bit on that. I know maybe people out there saying, well, wait a minute. Texas got a lot of rain this winter and they were wet. Yeah, they were. And what that did is that just caused the underbrush and the scrub and all that to grow more than normal. And then all of a sudden, when the rain cuts off and the sun comes out and it's 90 degrees, guess what? That all just becomes tinder for the fire. And that's exactly what happened. And I haven't heard whether it's man-made or accidental of some kind, but whatever, something sparked it. And with that increase in the underbrush and the strong winds that were going on, it just took off. They had no chance. As soon as it started, they were done. They had no chance.
Hey, Terry.
Okay. Well, it seems scammers are back at it again. Now they're using artificial intelligence to make their scams more believable. It seems they can accurately imitate the voices of your family members, and then they'll play them back to poor people to try and convince them that, the family member's in dire need of some money and they got to help them out. So that's pretty grim stuff. And on top of that, they're also using AI to infiltrate businesses. They're faking conference calls with employees and getting people on the go and getting in there and taking advantage of different businesses and systems. So, yeah, be on the lookout. Every time there's a new technology comes out, there's a scammer there trying to take advantage of it, right away, quick.
This is why I hate people.
Me too.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't fault everybody. I mean, some people buy Fords, some people buy,
So you guys know what's going
Toyotas.
on. Yeah.
It takes a little bit for some
This is
people
true.
to come around to it, but
Yeah, fair enough. Well, with that, how about we move in we've done lately for preps? We'll start off with Brad.
Still lots of work. Busy. The weather hasn't helped. That it's been actually pretty mild over the last little while. That we are, personally for me anyways, the truck that I drive, we've just been overloaded with lots and lots of work. So I haven't had a chance to do much around here, but hoping to do a few things more on the weekends when the nice weather rolls around the next few weeks. So that's about it.
Jeff.
I was going to say call in sick tomorrow, Brad. It's going to be 15.
I know.
So I did some food prep. I tested my generators before the storm, topped up my fuel just in case, and went down that rabbit hole and took a trip with Eric to Radio World in Toronto and got myself a couple of ham antennas.
Yeah. Such a great store.
There was, I mean, I could have emptied 3 different bank accounts for what I was doing over there, but I stayed within my budget, which I'm impressed with. And
it's all about the supervision.
Well, no, it wasn't, because you were kicking me to buy stuff. So don't start with that. That's a really good one over there. Oh, but that one's even
Look
better.
at this. And how great is this? Yeah. The kid in the candy store.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Well, for myself, ended up with my little portable ham radio system there being broken. So ended up plugging in the microphone and no connectivity at all. So decided to figure out how to fix it. So tore it all apart, found the part that's broken, and had an order. And I'm taking advantage of the local ham group here. One of the guys is going to help me out with getting it soldered back on the board, because it's surface mount soldering that's required to fix this part. And I've never done that before. So I'm going to take up the offer of local ham group here and get some help in doing that and getting it all fixed up. What else? Started researching Meshtastic. So that's a little off-grid communications type of radio setup. This is all going to be radio nerd stuff, which I know is strange for me, but started researching that. Have an order in for a couple devices. Going to test it out and see how it operates, and then maybe roll out a little bit further down the road if it does kind of what I'm thinking it's going to. And then just because I could, took the working HF rig here that's sitting right in front of me, the big guy here, the Kenwood. Took it out for a spin during the ARRL DX competition that's been running over the last couple of days. So got 20 plus international contacts in the log and some pretty neat ones. So it's a competition that runs for a couple of days where international stations overseas have to call either Canadian or US stations, exchange some information, and then you go to the next. So it was all kinds of interesting stations out and about in the airwaves. So figured, let's see how far my station can reach, and
how far did you get?
Got some good reports. Let's see, I got Germany, I got where else? Spain, a couple other places, just on my wire in the backyard here. So it's pretty happy with it. Yeah,
Nice.
It's good. And of course, went with Jeff down the radio world. So
I'm assuming you took your truck.
yes, that's how we got back. Yes.
Keep pushing it, buddy. I have the power to send you home too.
I'm already home.
I know.
And if I wasn't, I have a feeling I would at least be able to make it all the way there.
From wherever you sent him home from.
All right. So for me, a little bit of food rotation and prep. Not as much as we wanted to, but did a big old organization, sorted through stuffs, preps, getting all that situated in one spot. So now we're going to start going through our bags, redo the work truck with the weather changing, maybe put more stuff that's more for the summer months and spring months compared to, heavy duty stocks and this and that. Got all that ready with the supplies, all in one location finally, for the most part. And then now with the snow melting, we're thinking of how we're going to do the backyard, because when we moved in, it was pretty much winter. So I want to get the camper here in the next, once the ground unthaws enough and be able to hold it and not sink. So yeah, trying to figure out where we can put gardens, move this, move that, get the backyard oasis going for this week, hopefully the next few weeks, so that we can have a nice barbecue weekends in the backyard.
Oh yeah, barbecue season is coming up quick.
It never stops, but it's just way more enjoyable.
Fair. Yes, this is true. But yes, the more enjoyable barbecue season is coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, for me, I'm constantly tweaking the food storage. I'm always playing around with that, and I managed to get a little bit of range time in there the other day, which was nice. This is after the storm. I helped some friend take some maple syrup supplies into his camp, and while we're up there, we did a little bit of blasting. And
Nice.
and then I took the Ford out and made a successful run to top up the fuel containers after the storm, because I burned a little gas in the generator during that event. So I topped everything
And
back off again.
The Ford started.
Oh yeah, and we filled it up, and it worked flawlessly as usual. It's what happens when you own a Ford. You don't have anything to worry about.
Or you're just surprised all the time. Hey, it works.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Oh, that's good. Hey, is that everything for you, Terry?
I think that's enough for me.
Awesome. Oh, with that, we'll move into the main topic. So, the past week or so, the past week, just kind of watching the little group chat we have with the podcast channel or the podcast panelists here throughout the storm, watching everybody kind of check in with each other, say what's going on. Watching the power outages here, power outages there. This is happening, that's happening. It kind of got me thinking we should probably touch on that as a episode topic because it just kind of brings home everything that we kind of talk about on the show and shows that being prepared for like these little things like a storm coming through is one of the big things we try to push out in the show. And it's not all doomsday, world's ending, everything's collapsing kind of preparedness that we always push and we always talk about. Sure, that's a thing that could happen, but it's the day-to-day routine things that happen all the time that we really want people to be ready for and have a little bit of preparedness and things set aside for. So watching everybody kind of talk about the fact that their preps were working, things that they put in place for power outages were doing what they were supposed to be doing, and just looking at everybody kind of reaching out to say, hey, does anybody need anything? Can we help you out with anything? Was just kind of neat to see. And I thought, why not do an episode about it? And we'll just talk about kind of what happened, what went well, if a couple of things didn't go well, what didn't go well, or what you would do differently, or what you may or may not be adding to your preps now that we've been through a little storm. And some had power out for as long as 20 hours. Some of us only had power out for 45 minutes to an hour. But I figured we'd do a quick reflection on what happened and what went right, what went wrong, and what we're going to learn, or what we did learn from it, and how we're going to go forward. So, for myself, just to touch on it, first off, the storm, we went from, what was it, about plus 12, Jeff, down to like minus 10 in about like no time at all.
2 hours.
Yeah, when I checked and kind of the day before, I'd kind of thrown it out to people. Hey, you know what? This is coming. We're going to get this flash freeze. When I looked at my temperature at 10 a.m., it was +8, and at 7 p.m. it was -7. So in less
Crazy.
than 12 hours, we dropped, what's that, 15 degrees?
Yeah.
We dropped 15 degrees in about 8 hours, 9 hours.
Yeah, which just crazy. And we're talking Celsius here for our American friends.
Real temperatures.
Yeah. But yeah, with that brought a flash freeze, some interesting weather. We got some really good whiteouts going on, some good snow happening, and of course with that comes power outages, right? And some high winds. The winds were crazy.
Yes.
There were some pretty high winds here. I don't know what you guys had out east, but for us, we had some pretty good winds just come up out of nowhere.
Yeah, so
You guys have the same?
just to kind of speak on that a little bit. So, in my opinion, this is my personal opinion. I think we got off pretty lucky with this one. As Eric said, we had that sharp spike or drop in temperature, which as much as a lot of people didn't like it, I think that was really what saved us. Yes, we went from rain to snow, but we missed the ice. The drop was so fast, you may have gotten 20 minutes, a half an hour of some ice pellets, and you were into snow. So yeah, if something was on the ground, it froze. The roads got icy, sidewalks got icy, but you didn't get that more gradual drop where the ice had an opportunity to kind of really entrench itself and have an hour or a couple of hours of some ice accretion. If that would have happened with the winds we had, a lot of us, I think, would have been in a lot more trouble than we were. So it was bad, but it could have been, like anything, it could have been a whole lot worse. But that part of it for me saved us. Yeah, there's trees down, not so bad here. I'll throw a quick thing out there, just gradually south of us. I snowmobile a lot. We have a rail bed, and the day after the storm, somebody reached out and said, hey, you know what? There's all kinds of trees down. You guys are lucky. I ran over one, but I didn't damage my sled. And I kind of sent him a message back and said, trails were closed for that reason. You shouldn't have been out there. Good luck with getting us to pay for your damage because you rode on a closed trail. So anyways, and he blocked me after that, by the way. So, which really broke my heart, but
I'm sure you're all shook up about that, Jeff.
Yeah, I am. So, there were reports of trees down, which is not uncommon when you're getting that kind of wind. But again, add an eighth or a quarter inch of ice on those trees, and you've got a whole lot more problem.
Got the big ice storm that went through 98?
Yep. 98.
Yep. No, it was like Jeff was saying, it was interesting. It came pretty quick. Thankfully, we had that heads up. Jeff was kind of throwing that messaging out in the chats and the Discord ahead of time, so we knew something was coming. And you never really know. Like, it looks like something's coming. It might fizzle down into nothing. It might be a huge storm that comes through. But we always kind of get things ready to go. And luckily for us here, we lost power for, it was about an hour, maybe. And luckily enough, it went out after the kids were down for bed. So it had no impact on them. There was no worry with them being like, hey, what's going on or what's happening? They were already asleep. So that was perfect timing. The power's going to go out. Best time for it to happen. Generator kicks on 10 seconds later. So we've got the automatic standby Generac here. House comes back on, and we're sitting back, relaxed, and watching Netflix while the rest of the neighborhood doesn't have power. So it's always fun to sit back and see that. I'm alive to the fact that it also kind of identifies us as somebody who has power and nobody else does. So obviously we have to weigh that out in a more serious scenario where things are a little bit worse off than the simple power outage because of a storm. So if you're getting into like a shit hit the fan kind of situation, that's going to make you stand out like a sore thumb if you're the only one on the block that's got power. So, we have to figure out a way to kind of mitigate that in bigger types of situations. But a simple power outage, generator kicked on exactly how we were planning it to. Power came back, good to go. Was able to check in with Jeff real quick and say, hey, we've lost power over here. What's going on with you? At that point, he hadn't lost power yet, but it's just a matter of time because he's not that far from here. And eventually things tend to all domino effect, right? But yeah, really, everything worked out exactly like we planned, and everything worked. Generator worked. Power came back on. About an hour later, main power comes on. Generator turns off, cycles down. All's good. I've popped out and checked it afterwards, of course, to make sure the oil's still good. Everything's still, in the levels that it's supposed to be in. And we're ready for the next power outage. So really, it was good to see that everything worked the way that I expected it to.
Nice. We were not as fortunate as you, Eric. I was out of power for 18 hours here. Went out around 6:15. Back on it just after 2 the next afternoon. Kept watching the hydro app for the updates on restoration and what was the cause and all the rest of that stuff. And first it was 8:30, and then I think it was 11:30. They updated it to. Got the generator out. Started at about 9:15ish. Left it in the shed running with the door open just for a little while, make sure everything was working. Hooked it up to the house shortly after. In between the power going out and hooking the generator up, I've got quite a few little battery lights here and there, and we turned those on around the house. Most of them were still working well into the morning, around 5 o'clock when I got up. Generator was still running all night. Generator was running. I topped it up before going to bed just after midnight. Just after we lost power, some friends of ours down the road called and said, "Hey, can we get some candles? We have nothing at all."
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Interesting.
So, do I have a podcast for them?
Oh, I know, eh? He's coming around slowly, but he's not a big YouTuber.
If you need candles, I might know a guy that sells them.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I took him down some of the extra battery lights and the candles and one of those Motomaster jumper boxes that you can use as a power box as well. He has a older, not well maintained Champion generator, so I helped him get that out and get it going, put some gas in it, brought some extension cords down with me, and did the old close the window on it thing. And he's got a pellet stove for heat, so plugged that in, made sure it was running, plugged in his fridge. They've got a deep freeze, but told me, don't open it. If you don't need it, don't open it. Basic stuff. Can't run the fridge and the microwave at the same time. Those kinds of things. Got him going. He was good. He checked in around, I want to say around 11:30ish or so. And he had found some gas from a neighbor, put some in it. Next morning, I ran to Cornwall to get some gas for myself and for his generator. Went over, put some into his, went to work. Lots of winds throughout the night. Hardly any tree damage that I saw the next morning. Haven't heard of any injuries or any big house fires or barn fires or crashes or anything like that. And even though there's lots of wind, before the storm hit here, I went around the yard and put things away, and nothing moved in my yard. And generators put away again, full of fuel. Got all my batteries changed out and all the lights, and my Ryobi batteries charged back up again for the next one. And lesson learned, and off we go.
Nice. How much fuel did you go through roughly in that amount of time?
About 3/4 of a tank. I've got a Furman 3500, I think it is, or 3560 or something. I had a half a tank in it when I started it. When I had it running, make sure everything was good. There was about half a tank. I turned it off, filled it, brought it over to the house, ran it throughout the night. Next morning, it was, I want to say it was almost empty. Ran to Cornwall and picked some gas up, and then filled it halfway, and then went to work. And then wife called me just after 2, I want to say about 2:30, 2:40, and said, "Power's come back on." Told her, "Okay, go turn the generator off. Do this, do that, do the other thing. I'll take care of everything else when I get home."
Nice. Now, how's the generator hooked up to everything? Is it extension cord through the window, or are you doing like a pass-through setup or Generlink, or?
It was through the window, just extension cords through the window. I do have the Reliance through the wall system. We were hoping to wait until our back deck was built this summer to put it permanently mounted just next to the deck. But I think I'm going to change that location to Pierre, you would know where this is, where the old side door was, where the window is now. I think it makes better sense because it's right at the top of the stairs, so I can plug things in there and run them down to the furnace and the well pump, and then the kitchen is right beside it, so I can run over to the fridge with it, or the stove, the coffee maker. Well, not the stove, but the microwave, the coffee maker, that kind of thing. So I'm hoping to get that done before next Sunday and have that in.
Perfect. Lesson learned, right?
Oh, absolutely. I should have done it in the summer when I had the chance to, and I wouldn't have had to worry.
Well, even just evaluating now through that experience, going, okay, now I can see moving it here versus where I wanted to is going to work a lot better. Now that we've kind of tested things out, just learning that through the power outage, right?
Oh yeah,
it's good.
And I've noted what extension cords I use, so now those are going to be taken out of the regular circulation and a label put on them. Those are for this only, because they reach and they work, and there was never any problem with it. So yeah, lesson learned. Like
that's good. Well, it's awesome. And mentioning extension cords, that actually reminded me, there's a couple of things in the house here that do not run on the backup generator when the standby generator fires up. One of them is the internet router and like all the computer nerd stuff I've got in the server rack here, which yes, I have a server rack because I'm a nerd. It was funny. As soon as the generator came on, I just knew, went over, grabbed the extension cord I use for that, run downstairs, run the cable over to the rack, plugged it in, and away we go. But I already had it planned out. I know where that cord is. I know that that's the one that I use if the power goes out. I know where to plug it in, where to run it to. I've already got battery backup on the rack anyway, so I'm good for about 45 minutes. I don't have to do it instantly. But having that organization, and that took a couple of power outages to learn how to do, right? Because I was looking around for which cord do I take? Which one do I run? What plug do I plug into? Where do I go with this? What do I hook up? But this time around, I was able to just go, oh, okay, yeah, here we go. Run it over. Done. Didn't even think about it. And away we go, because then we can sit and watch Netflix while everybody else doesn't have power.
So while you're being proud of yourself that you have that backup generator, which I don't doubt is really nice. My neighbor, he has the same kind of system.
Mm-hmm.
Pierre, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The power went out here at around 6:15, and everything it was dark.
Yep.
The only thing on was those little, actually they're right here. These.
Right.
The little plug in the wall
tap lights.
lights.
Yep.
Yeah. And as soon as they came on and we realized what was going on, I heard my neighbor's generator start up.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I looked out the window. His house was entirely lit up. All his outside lights were on. I looked in the living room. The windows, like the TV was on. The lights were on. He and his wife were walking around like nothing ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I was pissed off at that.
But at the same time, they stand out like a sore thumb, right? So you got to be cognizant of that, depending on what the scenario is.
Yeah.
Well, I realized that since I knew they had one, and the guys at the end of the road, the construction company, they have one. They got one put into their house. Well, I drove around the neighborhood before going to work, and I realized that there's 5 other houses that were all brightly lit up. Like, yep, I know who you got.
Yep. And that's the thing. It's a big OPSEC thing that you really have to weigh out. It's great in the small little scenarios, but even in the small scenarios, you now identified 5 people on your street that are going to guaranteed have power for a while. Probably not going to have it forever, but they're going to have it for a more extended period of time, right? Depending on what the scenario is and what's happened, right? But as long as they've got a supply of fuel, exactly. As long as they got a supply of fuel for it.
Like I know my neighbor right here beside me is a propane one. My parents, a couple of towns over, they got one put in over the summer, and they're on natural gas.
Right.
I don't doubt that the other people in this neighborhood, they're all on propane.
Yeah.
As long as they got pressure, right, they'll have power. But now what I don't know is, do they make ones like the standby Generacs that are dual fuel, like gas and propane?
You can flip them. You can flip them. There's a switch inside that will let you flip it to propane versus natural gas.
Yeah, you can't get regular gas. It's either propane or natural gas is my understanding.
Right. Yes. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's part of my backup plan the future proof and just disaster proof my my setup is to get the propane tank here, and then I can flip back and forth. Right now mine's natural gas. So
Okay.
Yeah, same. And I mean, the nice thing is most propane places will
You're good. That's
they'll
on
come
camera.
to your place, and you or old place where we were renting asked, hey, do you guys fill up propane tanks? And they said, we'll fill up 100-pounders. So you might not have to rent a big giant one. You might be able to just get a 100-pounder or two from Costco, get them to fill it up. You can run your propane barbecues, get someone to come in, do that, and also have that. Might not be a good backup compared to how much those big tanks are to rent and everything. Now, obviously, you're not going to have as much, and you're responsible for them to replace them and everything. But most of them will fill up 100-pounders at your house. So if you have 2-3 of them at your house, probably set up an account, get that done. A little bit easier than those big giant ones. A little more discreet. You can move them around, store them in your shed.
Yep.
good point.
Yeah. Or like I said, barbecue. You know, everything goes down. Your propane tank runs out. Run a line to it. You can still cook. I mean, you can
True.
probably still cook inside, but you know, say it's
Yep.
summer and you want to have a beer outside. So
It's true. The beer's only going to be cold for so long. You may as well fire up the queue and enjoy it.
Drink them while they're cold.
Oh yeah.
or drink enough that you don't care if you're warm anymore.
There's always that.
This is true. It all depends on the scenario. Yeah.
It all depends if Jeff's coming over.
You just got a Toyota, you're good. For me, good storm. It was nice. We were thankfully not bothered. No power outage. No nothing for us. I don't even think our power flickered. So we were lucky. But just hatched everything down, went outside, got a few things on the deck, and we've got a little wonky screened-in porch that we wrapped in plastic as storage. Made sure all that was still strapped down and not going to blow away, so there's not a bunch of stuff flying around and all our shit getting ruined. Checked outside, moved a few things out of the wind, just so, you know, a gas can or a 2x4 flying down the road or whatever. It was tucked away around a corner where the wind wasn't going to hit it, and stored away from the elements. Nothing for us. We had everything ready. I guess we'll have to learn this lesson at a later date for us.
Hey,
But, yep.
It's just you gotta deal with the cards you're dealt, right? You got a good hand.
Yep. So it worked out. It was nice to see. Just the weather changed so drastically. You know, go from plus 15 to minus 20 the next morning, and the crazy windstorm you could see on the street lights and everything, and all the lights outside. We had people's sheds, doors banging on stuff everywhere, but we were good. We weren't bothered. So I guess we'll have to, kind of works out because we knew where everything was, but I was like, it's going to be a pain to dig that out. So
It's a good test for the new house, right?
yeah, so it's going to be okay. So we got to get into the shed a little bit and organize it, because a few of the cooking stuff that we all know where it is, and the propane tanks and the lines and stuff that we needed was all kind of just behind stuff. So you'd have to go outside in the dark and move a bunch of stuff. So we knew where everything was. You know, battery packs are charged, flashlights in, you know, daughter's room, our room. Mostly around the house, we've got the similar lights as Brad has. When there's no lights, it's kind of a night light, but when the power goes on, you can use it as a flashlight. So I'm like, we're never, you know, completely dark.
Yep.
But yeah, make sure
Nice.
we knew where the food and water was and waited it out.
Very nice.
Something I've been lucky to get my hands on are the commercial emergency lights. You plug them in. There's the little battery box. It's got two light heads on them. You can move them. Well, a couple years ago, there was a hardware store, major chain, that was taking down their old store and building a new one. I've been in there a bunch of times, got to know one of the owners, and I asked him if I can go in and scavenge whatever I can find from the old building. And he gave me some particulars. You can't touch this, that, the other thing, but everything else is up for grabs. So I was able to get 2 of those emergency lights off the wall, just plug-in ones. So I have one downstairs in my bathroom that one light points up to the ceiling and the other one points out to the door, so you can actually find where the bathroom is. And then the other one is in my shed, does the same thing, points to the front door and into the shed. And they're good for about 90 minutes or so, depending on the battery. They came on flawlessly. When I went down to check on things in the basement, run the extension cords, I brought it out into my main part of my basement, out of the bathroom, and just set it down, and I was able to work without moving around, without using another flashlight and having my hand busy. And I liked it, and I've looked them up a couple of times, different places, anywhere from $75 to about $350, depending on what you want to buy and how many lights you want to put up. But something to keep in mind, if you want to be that person, you can get batteries that last 2 or 3 days for 2 or 3 lights like that. And they're only 6 volt. You have to be careful. You can't just run 12 volt batteries on them.
Right.
Yeah, you just cut the battery in half.
That's the trick.
Yeah. Let me know how that
It's
goes.
on the internet now. It must be true.
It must be true. Pierre said it. It must be true. Okay, I'll try that. I'll get back to you later.
Not only did Pierre say it, he said it on the internet. That's the truth test. No.
That was the validation.
But you got to cut it lengthwise, because if not, you cut the 2 terminals apart. And you got to keep both.
Right.
Yeah. So you got to go lengthwise, not side to side. That's probably where a lot of people went wrong. Let me know.
Okay. I'll look that up.
Oh, jeez. All right, Terry, what do you got for us?
Well, it was a good storm for us too here. Our power and internet went out for about 19 hours. And even the cell service suffered. And you can get a pretty good signal. But once that power went out around here, it suffered bad. There was a lot of times it was cutting in and out just to SOS only, which was
it right away, or was that was it right away? The cell stuff, really?
Yeah, right away. Interestingly enough, like even when I powered everything up on the generator, our router and everything was working in the house, but the internet, when the power was off, it was off. So it must have been connected somewhere along the line, because it wouldn't even work at all. But anyway, as we spoke there,
it's remotely possible. It happened in the 2003 blackout that where I worked. We run on a microwave system, and some of the towers, either they didn't even click over to the backup, or the backup generator didn't run, or like I said, the batteries, they flicked them on, and even though they were supposed to test them every 3 months, but we had 3 towers that the second the power went out, they dropped. They were offline. They were gone. So it may be possible that the closest tower to you that you usually get a signal off, maybe it didn't have a backup.
It failed, yeah.
But yeah, that was an interesting lesson, because you can't count on that either, right? You think, well, there'll always be cell service, right? But maybe not. But we didn't have any issues. Like a few podcasts back, we talked about this Generalink system that we installed here, and so this was our first real trial run of how it worked for us. So once the power went out, I went out and hooked her up, fired up the generator, and started turning things back on inside, and we pretty much had the whole house powered up. Like everything was working. We had hot water. The well pump was working. We could run the kitchen stove. I wouldn't want to turn everything on at the same time. So we got an 8,500 watt generator. It'll run quite a bit. But, if several things happen to spike on at the same time, it would probably pop the breaker. But, we'd be careful what we did, and everything worked great. So we're as snug as a bug on a rug. No issues whatsoever with that. And it was out for like 19 hours. And during that 19 hours, I put about 20 liters of fuel in the beast, because we left it running the whole time. So, that's the major limitation to something like that is, how much fuel you've got stocked. And I'm okay. I could go for a week or so without running out of gas. But you
40 to 1, divide by 2. That's a lot of fuel. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to make sure you got a fuel supply or close by. So, but I'm completely happy with it. It worked really good. And again, we had the winds. We had a lot of trees down. That's why the power was out on our particular road. Was there was a few trees down, and that took a while for the hydro to get caught up and get down to our little back country road where we are. So, but we eventually got here, and everything was good.
What's the size of the Generalink you have there, Terry?
Oh God, it's they come in amps, don't they?
Yep.
I think it's a 30.
Okay.
I think or was it 40? And there's a bigger one.
There's a 30, bigger 40, one. And 50, I do believe.
Okay. I can't remember if ours is 30 or 40. It's not the big one. That much I remember, because they give us the option of a bigger one, and we said no. So I'd have to check to be sure, because I don't remember.
And
terrible.
You were able
the
to
white
run
hair.
Everything.
But yeah, I'd run everything. We didn't have any issues.
Awesome.
We didn't have any issues. Again, I think you'd have to be careful what you were trying to do too much at one time.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like if we wanted to run a lot of hot water and have the water heater kick in, I'd have turned the well pump off and a few other things. But we were just careful what we did, and we had no issues with it. So
I have.
Yeah, you got to pay attention to the things you do a little bit closer when you're running on a generator, obviously, but you still have the ability to run it, which is nice.
Yeah. So it was great. We had all the lights on in the house, and if the TV worked, because we got satellite TV, so everything was fine. It was just almost like a normal day. There you go.
And sorry, Brad, I cut you off there.
I have it's all right. An older, I guess you could say it's a China clone generator. It's a 7,000 watt that's sitting in my shed. It hasn't run in a few years, and I've been trying to get at that it hasn't run in probably 5 years. And I've been trying to get at that for about 2 years to get that running. And it's a key start, so it'll be easy for the kids or the wife to start it. Hoping that's the plan anyways. Put it right where I want to put that through the wall piece right here at the house. Build a little box for it to sit there. It's got I want to say a 25-liter tank on it. But the eventual plan... Yeah, you've seen it, Pierre. It's that blue one in my shed.
Yeah.
The eventual plan is to get a Generalink. The ultimate goal is to be like Mr. Eric up there, have one of those. But
hey,
the next
it came with the house. I have to put that out there.
I know you didn't install it, but the next best thing would be to put that Generalink in and put the generator box there, and it just sits there. Put fresh gas in it every few months and some stabilizer and a cord with it. Be able to walk out, start it. Have my youngest here is almost 14, and to have her be able to walk out and start it for me right away. So if she's at home alone, she can go out, plug it in, start it. Okay, go back inside, lock the doors, turn the lights off. But we know the house is fine.
Right. That brings up a good point, though, is making sure that family members around, if, say, you're not around when power outage or something happens at the house, are aware of how to do it as well. Right?
Yes.
And building in that contingency plan of, okay, I'm not home, but my wife knows how to do it, or I'm not home, but my daughter knows how to do it, or they're both home, they both know how to do it, right? That's important to build into your plans as well, and make sure everybody knows, okay, power goes out. In my case, count to 10, listen for the automatic transfer switch to kick. If it doesn't kick, something's up, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. Go out, prime the generator, get it ready to go, push this, pull that, start it up, plug this in, wait a little bit, then plug it in, run things. Important to get everybody else kind of in the know of how to do it, so that when something happens, they can just go.
Yep.
Right?
Yours is nice because, it just comes on automatically. 10 seconds later, hey, the power's on.
Yep. At the same time, if it doesn't come on, now what?
I got to worry. Yeah, now you got to
Now, it's not as easy to fix as, say, the portable generators you guys have, right? Where you can troubleshoot it a little bit, finick around with it, and make it go. I'm not sticking my hand in the breaker box here. I want to see the end of the storm and see the power come back on, right? So
you'll see the light. Don't worry.
Oh, I'll see the light very quickly. Yes, this is true. If I stick my hand in the breaker box, it'll be very bright. Yeah, and I don't want to see that light. So there's that. So there's pros and cons to both system, right? And
So
that's why I have a backup portable one.
You do have. That's what's going to be my
I
question.
do.
Do you have another one?
I
That
do.
If you needed
Yep.
to, you can throw it through the window. Throw the
Yep.
cord through
I've
the
got
window.
a Furman dual fuel, so it runs on propane or gas.
Nice.
That's my my backup.
I got a standby as well, in case, just in case. Not as big, but yeah, I've got another one.
I don't know if everyone's ready for this, but I fire it up every once in a while and make sure it runs, and I load test it.
Good
Oh,
man.
there you go.
Weird, right? Strange.
You gotta do that. Yep, you gotta do that.
No.
I was actually
And
impressed. Oh, go ahead, Pierre.
It's nice to when you do that load test, try and pop that breaker, right? When your house
Why
is
not?
good, and plug your.
Yep.
If it's a big enough
See what
one,
it can
right,
do.
your stove,
Yep.
I can plug 9 things in and run everything. But
Nice.
if I plug 10, it blows, right? Like just
Boom.
to know
Yep.
all that before
Mhm.
that storm comes. That's always key to do. What's your draw on things? Try and boil some water.
Yep.
Stove and your coffee maker, those are, and a toaster. Like those are pretty big draws on systems.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, plug all those. Can you do all of it? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
We can only do, toaster and coffee maker or microwave and coffee, knowing those things just so save you the hassle of going out, say it's a freak blizzard at -40, even if it's 10 steps out to the thing to flick the switch,
Still,
save you
save you from having to do it. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So doing those types of tests are always good.
And I think your lineup and test there is also speaks to kind of the priority of things. It was always coffee maker and it's very important.
Yes,
Always the coffee maker. Yeah.
100%. You don't want to
Coffee
see
maker is
coffee in the
always
morning.
first.
Yes.
Always. Always.
Absolutely.
And here's a question for the panel. So now that we've all run our generator systems for some 19, 20 hours, what are the steps now you're going to be taking to look into them and make sure that they're ready for the next storm? Anything? Were we just packing them up and putting them back in the corner, or?
Well, check the oil, make sure we're still good. Mine is brand new. This is the longest it's run.
Yeah.
But when I got it, it comes with no oil in it. Came with the little 1 liter
breaking oil.
Well, yeah, whatever. I checked the oil after I put it away. Still all nice and good. Refilled it. Like I said, I put the cords aside that I have to make labels for to make sure that they're ready and set to go. I think I might even string some of them up downstairs so I know that they're already in place. I just have to go and plug them, unplug something, plug it into the cord. That's it. And I got to put my my through the wall kit in, and I should be good to go.
Nice. I would recommend changing that oil.
I was just going to say that if it's brand spanking new, you might want to look at the owner's manual because you're probably at the end of the break-in period and wouldn't hurt to do an oil
It's not going to be
change.
the greatest quality oil. For all you know, that oil's been sitting in that canister for 2 years prior to you getting it. You had a good run at it. Everything's working good and everything. I would go figure out which oil you want. Go stock up. Don't stock up too much on it. So that all depends on what you need. I'm not opposed to synthetic. Synthetic is a little bit better. It'll help a lot if you want to start in cold weather.
Mm-hmm.
Not mandatory. I don't find. I would strongly recommend it. I'm not a fan of like the no names in most cases. Reputable. Do your research.
Yeah.
Viscosities. You could go down some rabbit holes with that. Like we could talk about that next week. But like figuring out the temperatures, ideal temperatures, lubrication once it gets to a certain temperature. Your owner's manual will probably tell you all that because if your oil's too thin, it'll start burning through your rings and then it'll blow up on you. If it's too thick and it gets cold, it's you're gonna have a lot of dry run time. And then just look at the manual, see what they recommend. It's not that complicated. Like for us, out where we are, there's Stinson right on what is it? Not the 138.
No, 34.
34. Is it 34?
Yeah, running through town.
Yeah, in Ottawa.
Oh, Bank Street.
Yeah, Bank Street.
31.
31. Okay, yeah. That's where we deal with get a lot of different fluids.
Really?
You know, you can go in and say, hey, what do you guys recommend for this? And they'll sell you 5 liters of it. They'll sell you a 55-gallon drum of it.
Don't need that much.
No, but you know, one of those things where you know, picking brains of people that kind of know stuff. Small engine places and stuff like that. Hey, what do you guys recommend? This is what I got. What do you got on the shelf at a decent price, or what do you recommend? Buy a bottle or two. They're probably more than willing to shed the knowledge with you. But I would definitely warm that up for a little bit, drain it out, put some new oil in it, at least once a year. Oil change, just calendar year, or if you use it a lot, 100%.
Yep.
Well, we are planning on the camper we got. That's the one to go with the camper. So we're hoping to use that a few times this year. And yeah, definitely like in the fall, change it out.
Yeah, spring, fall are ideal times for it. I mean, so oils, like all the equipment I take care of, we do it at certain intervals or every calendar year, right? Like some of the machines we have, like we have a trencher. It's literally all it does is make a trench. Like we put like 20 hours on it. Yeah, we put like 20 hours on it in a year because it only has one job. It makes a giant hole in the ground and then that's it, right? It gets used for 20 minutes. So we do it every calendar year. But if, you know, that variance, you're going to go camping a little bit, use it here, use it there. Oh, the power went out. You're going to use it every, you know, spring and winter preps, you know, out of your vehicle. Gives you oil. Yeah. I would definitely do
Makes
that.
sense.
Yeah. And
Awesome.
Also look at what their recommended runtime and downtime is. You'd be surprised that I bought a generator. I can just gas it and run it for a week straight.
No, I know that when you can't.
Yeah. So even if I'm not mistaken, even the Generacs have a time that there's a time where it's like, hey, you should let that, you know, stop, cool down, do its thing, and then start it back up. But you know, if you're out of, I don't know what the recommendations are. But yeah, definitely keep on those. You don't want you know, 2 days into a week-long power outage, you know, you're like,
blow your generator up.
Yeah,
and blow your generator up because you're not. You'd be lucky to find one on the first day. On the third day, you're not going to find one out of the store.
No, you're not going to find one at all. Those Generacs, Eric, can you turn yours off?
Yeah, I can go out. There's a whole control panel in the box, so I can turn it off if I need to. Put it in the standby, kill the power. Yep.
Nice.
And yeah, I think it's 72 hours. I think it is for those things. I know I've read it in the manual, and it says you definitely can't run it for an extended period of time. There's a period where you do have to shut it down and let it sit and cool down, like Pierre was saying, and that's important things to know about your generator because, like we said, if you just think you're going to flip it on, let it run for that 2, 3, 4 days. Bad news for you. You're going to blow it up. But some people think they can just do that, right? So it's important to read that manual and know what your generator can do and what it can't do and where it kind of draws the line for hours and how often you do have to switch that oil out, right? Because that'll be in there as well. You run it for X amount of hours. For example, mine is 200 hours. It has to be changed 200 hours or every 2 years for the oil. So
now, can it go past that? Like, does it have a system that tells you you've got to change the oil?
You can go past that, of course, but it's not recommended. But yeah, if you're in like a big shit at the fan kind of situation and you got to push it, you can push it. But in ideal world, they want it every 2 years or every 200 hours. Yeah, but that's ideal world where you're able to do that, and you don't have zombies chomping at you when you're trying to do it or anything silly like that, right?
Yeah.
So what? Actually, well, I know you got it with your house, but what's the manufacturer warranty when you buy one of those?
It's a great question.
Off your head?
I don't.
So all of those factors will play into if they're going to honor the warranty or not.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's a great point.
So if you want to do oil changes for yourself, double check and make sure. So for example, right, let's say you spend the $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 on a Generac system, get it all installed, everything's peachy, and you're like, okay, and you start doing your own oil changes, and 2 years, something happens. Some places won't honor it because you didn't get one of their technicians to do it, or you might have to a bit more of a fight saying, no, look, I bought the products, this, that. You can take pictures, they're timestamped, this, that, all that stuff. So yeah, definitely you don't want to avoid those warranties as much as possible. They'll try and tell you it was something else, but as long as you can prove all that, you'll probably be in a good situation for that.
I can agree.
All good things to know.
Blizzard has a good comment there in the live chat. It's
it's the one about the cars.
Yeah, being beside your car with the generator, provided it's not a Tesla, and use the exhaust from your vehicle and a tarp to get it warm enough to fire.
No.
Oh, that's an idea. Also mentioned in the chat a little earlier up to figure out what vehicles run the same oil as your generator. Dual purpose, right?
I was reading that.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Yeah. So,
any other things the panel wants to discuss about the storm?
No,
Crickets.
No,
good. We all got everything we wanted. I didn't get to test anything, but we didn't lose power. But it was kind of nice just because we're not entirely organized for that yet. Because
you just moved. Yeah.
Well, we moved a little while ago, but just the renos are still going and this, that. So it's like, all that stuff's kind of that. And it was winter, so it's like, well, fuck, I don't want to. It's -20. I don't want to go outside and dig out the generator.
Oh, hell no.
I would have regretted that, if something did happen. So knock on wood, we're good now. But that'll be in the plans for the summer. Get everything organized nicely and maybe test it out next winter.
Fair enough. Well, here's the big question about the storm. How many came up against zombies or some major apocalyptic event?
Niente.
No.
Always
nobody's knocked on my door, so at least 3.
And that's, again, the point that I just wanted to drive home. That's the whole thing with preparedness, right? Everybody always thinks that it's the big, cataclysmic event that's going to happen, or the zombies are coming, or some world-ending event.
Yeah.
Storm, right? We're good to go. We made it through. We were all comfortable. We had a couple of hiccups here and there, but for the most part, everybody came through unscathed. We all were able to sit back, relax, enjoy the lights being on, the furnace is running, and return life to normal for up to 20 hours, right? Which I'd say is a win in our book. We've done something right, and everybody's made steps to just make life that much easier to get through a little event like that. And that's what it's all about. It's not about the big, zombie apocalypse happening or anything like that. It's just getting through life's little events as they happen. And you know what? You take care of the little events, the big events will just take care of themselves as you go, right? So
the people that I went to help down the road getting their generator started, some of their neighbors the following morning, I think he said it was around 6 a.m. He stayed up all night to make sure everything was good at his place. He said, I think it was around 6 a.m. that the two of his neighbors both got up, started their cars. He went over to find out what was going on, make sure that they were okay. They said they hadn't slept a wink. They have no backup generator, no alternate heating source or nothing. They were going to the big city to go to a hotel and get some sleep, a good shower, and come back when the power's on. Well, I look at that as, well, you just spent how many hundreds of dollars to go and get a hotel room, pay for some takeout or room service food. Your kids are miserable. You're miserable. If you want to sleep, well, your kids are up maybe because they had a good sleep, but you want to get some sleep. So that's not going to be able to happen too well. And the hassle of trying to get the hotel room and get to it. Go and get yourself a generator.
Yeah, especially because scenarios like that. I'm sure we've all looked for a hotel while they have a convention or hockey games in town. That hotel room that was $130 last week is now $240.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things. That's me. Not the last comment on the YouTube, but the other one. He was testing his Jenny and he found the frequencies were off. So we didn't. The Generacs are probably pretty good for that. But your load test, high and low frequencies can ruin electronics.
Oh yeah.
You might not want to. And that could also be related to the extension cord you're using. Certain extension cords are not designed to be, great carriers of frequencies, and that's another rabbit hole we're not going to get into. But really, really good extension cords are key. Not the ones you buy at the dollar store. You need to go buy those, heavy duty ones, properly insulated, proper gauged wires. But yeah, you do need to be, careful of when that generator starts shutting down or starts getting low on gas, or those high-low revs can be sensitive to electronics. So you might not want to be running all your equipment or your computers or something that, you don't want to be out $2,000 just because you want a game for an hour.
Yeah.
It's true.
The other side to that for generators is, was it a regular, a portable generator or an inverter portable generator?
Mm-hmm.
I told the family here, do not plug the computer, the router, the TV, the cell phones. Nothing like that gets plugged into the generator. We have plenty of power banks here, and I've got those Ryobi battery topper pieces, 2 of them that Eric printed out for me, which I still haven't made yet.
I got a couple of them floating around here. Yep.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
But plug those in for your cell phone chargers. Don't run the TVs.
Good point.
Don't run any of those, the sensitive electronics. I know that some CPAP machines you can't run off a generator. Right. You will blow them. You need an inverter generator for those.
Right.
Yeah. Some microwaves won't work either.
Yes, I have heard of that too. A microwave blew up. The guy had it on for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Bang. Doesn't work anymore. He blew the coils inside because it needed a steady, constant sine wave power. Something to keep in mind.
All good points. Do your research and test things out ahead of time, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Weird. Who would have thought that would come up in the podcast?
No.
And someone said they found a conversion kit on Amazon for like $45-50 to retrofit, make it dual fuel. So
yes, I've seen those.
That's I would say that's worth the $50. But also be prepared that your generator may blow up. So that is also a thing, for $50 might be out, $500-600 if it doesn't work. I don't know if it'll be covered by warranty or all that stuff, but if it's a gamble you want to take, let me know how that works, because that's not a bad option to have. But just be careful that that can go sideways real fast, especially on Amazon. It's better than Temu, but
true. True.
But
the other thing you've got to be aware of running propane as opposed to fuel is, and I'm assuming it's just because of the way it runs, but most of them, if you're running propane, you have less wattage to be able to run with. Like, I know my dual fuel is, I think it's 4,300 on gas and only 3,900 on propane.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So your wattage will change. So you'll have to figure that out if it's not predetermined like the one you have. I'm sure there's a way to check it. I don't care to really think about it right now, but yeah. So you might not be able to run everything you normally run if you switch it to propane. That's a thing you need to take into consideration.
All good points. Very good points.
Yeah. I know that the tri-fuel, the natural gas is even less.
Yeah.
Yep. We might have to do an episode on just generators.
Hey.
There we go.
Yep.
That might be fun.
Awesome. Well, let's say we move into the podcast challenge, unless anybody has any last minute thoughts.
One quick thing. Take your spark plug out. Check it. It's a little carboned up. Clean it off. Get an old toothbrush, some good cleaner, let it dry out, all that stuff. And get your spark plug to stay clean and carbon free. It will definitely help with everything else. So
great point.
Running for a while and you haven't used it in a while, take it out. Might be a little gummed up, depending if there was some bad gas or gummed up gas at the bottom or whatever. And if you're unsure of that, start taking the carb apart and doing the same, because it'll be the same in the carb. So
general maintenance, be ready for the next one.
Yeah.
Yep. I like it. All right, let's hit the podcast challenge. So review your preps, restock anything that you may have used up, or just perform some maintenance on those generators if you did use them during the recent storm. All right, upcoming events. got the annual Prepper Meet coming up. You want to touch on that, Terry?
Yes. That's July 11th to the 14th. So put it on your calendar and come on out to beautiful Dillsborough, Ontario for a fun long weekend of super exciting prepper stuff. Meet some fine folks and learn a few things and have some fun and practice camping and using your gear. So we're just starting to firm up our presenters now for this year's event. So, if you're following along on the website or the Facebook page, I'll be starting to put on some updates as to who's coming and what they're presenting very soon. Within the next couple of weeks, that should be starting up on that. So keep an eye out for that and any updates as to what's going on. And advance tickets are still on sale. Save a shekel.
Now.
Buy now.
Yep. $100 for the weekend. You can't go wrong with that.
That's cheap camping and fun.
It is.
Good folks.
Oh yeah.
So
and training.
$100 for the ticket, and you said a couple episodes ago, Terry, that might be $20-$30 for a camper.
Yeah, they decided to do that this year because we've got a bigger area with some place. So if you have a large tow behind camper or a large motorhome, then $20 for the weekend is a little extra charge because you're taking up space. If you're just camping inside your van or your car or a tent, then you're forgiven. That's all included in the price. But we thought we'd charge a little extra for big motorhomes. You can afford them big guys. You can afford the $20, right? So,
Yeah.
And you can't go wrong with that. You can't go wrong with that.
And I mean, good luck finding a campground for less than that. Like,
really, it's cheap. It's cheap camping. So
pet friendly.
Yes. As long as you have a well-behaved critter and it's on a leash, you can have your pet there too.
All right. That's hopefully in the plan.
Awesome. Jeff, you got a weather blurb for us?
Sure do. So for the most part, we continue with the abnormally warm temperatures. There are exceptions. Right now out in the prairies, Saskatoon is just digging out from about a 30-centimeter dump of snow. So there's still snow around, but as I mentioned in the news, the wildfires continue to burn in the Texas Panhandle, moving up sort of into Oklahoma, and even Kansas now has red flag warnings in effect. They're getting the same thing, the high winds, the really dry air, things are drying out. Like a lot of places, they didn't get as much precipitation, or actually they didn't get enough snow to have the moisture in the ground to kind of slow down the wildfires and whatever. So, but speaking of snow, I mentioned it in the news thing as well on the West Coast. They've got that snowfall going on in the Sierra Nevadas. All kinds of blizzard warnings remain in effect. Some areas got 10 feet of snow and 80 mile-an-hour winds. Mile an hour, not kilometers. So if that's not a blizzard, I'm not sure what their definition is. It's going to stop for a couple of days, and then they're going to get a bit more snow going on in the week for the higher elevations. So it's not something they're not used to. They usually get a very significant amount of snow, but they don't usually get 10 feet at once. So obviously with that comes the heightened risk of an avalanche. So you're in that area. I know none of us are, but anybody's out there, they're thinking of hiking out into the backcountry or doing something like that. Not a smart idea right now. For the rest of US and into Canada, there's a slight risk of severe thunderstorms in the mid-US and kind of up into a bit of the Ohio Valley area for Monday, Tuesday. I'm not seeing anything severe popping up out of this. You may get the odd severe storm here and there. Probably you'll get some hail. Not looking at the tornado outbreak like happened a week ago. So I think you're good there. And after that, the rest of the week, it appears to be calm. I'm not going to use the Q word, but it appears to be calm. But like anything else, we are in the transitional time. You've got the warm air in the south fighting with still the cold air up in the north and in Canada. And anytime you get, which is what we got with this big storm, was we had a very strong push of warm, moist air into the area, followed immediately by a very strong low pressure system. Everybody knows, I think I've said, low pressure goes around counterclockwise. So it's turning counterclockwise. It's sucking the warmer up on one side and it's bringing the super cold air down on the other side. This was a abnormally strong low pressure system. And that's what caused the rapid drop in temperature. It happens and it'll probably happen again. I'm not sure it'll be this bad, but you need to be aware of quickly changing conditions. The other thing you need to be aware of, obviously, at this time of the year is fog. A lot of places now, the air's warmer than the ground, especially at dusk, dawn, nighttime, you're going to get fog, and it's going to go on for a few weeks, I think. So just be aware of that if you've got to go out at night, that you may encounter some pretty dense fog.
Good advice.
And are you still alive there, Eric? Or I think he is frozen.
I think so as well.
So I'll take over for him there. So we'll bring episode 232 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to an end. You can find the audio part of it on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Please submit a review. It encourages the algorithm to promote us and helps other people find us. And Brad, you want to take over the next one?
We record these shows live on Facebook on YouTube and Facebook if you must. If you want an early peek at the show, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tabs. That'll give you an alert when we are going live. You can contact me at bradcpp@gmail.com. Pierre?
Oh, off the wall customizing, probably on the socialist medias. You can find me here most Sunday nights, almost all the time, chit-chatting, talking about preps. And on Monday nights, you can find me on the YouTubes for the other CPP Canadian Patriot podcast, Why We Talk You Should Prep to Government.
And you could reach me at the annual Preppers Meet Facebook page or on my email at terrylblackmore@hotmail.com.
And if you want to check out Rapid Survival, you can check them out at rapidsurvival.com, where you can get Eric on the live chat if his computer wants to work. Maybe it's a Chevy computer. I'm not sure. I think it might be a Chevy computer. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca, or I am frequently on the Discord. So thanks for joining us tonight. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe.
And keep learning. I'll jump in there for the Toyota man.
Thank you, guys. The Ford guy to the rescue.
As we wrap up another insightful episode of the Canadian Prepper Podcast, we want to extend our gratitude to our listeners for joining us on this journey of preparedness. Remember, the key to survival is knowledge and readiness. If you want to support the show and engage with our community further, consider signing up for our Patreon and joining our thriving community on Discord. Links are in the description. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. This is the Canadian Prepper Podcast, signing off. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe, and keep learning.